We are going to be talking about this book right here. The author is here with us. So we are going to be talking about this important, very important matter, which is how to get free money for college. Why? Because we all need our kids to go to college. And here with us today is Trevor Ramos. Trevor Ramos, it's a guy, it's a person, it's a professional that actually had to go through some stuff to find out how to make the money to go to college. Trevor, first of all, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I haven't seen you since last year.
No, thanks for having me.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, so
let's talk about this. How did you come to this? How did you come to do this, which is actually get or help people to get the money to send their kids to college?
How did I get into this? Well, you know, I didn't have the best grades in high school. I had a 2.8 GPA, and I played football and I ran track and field. That's where I spent most of my time, and that's how I thought I was going to get a scholarship. But I was pretty much too short and too light to play at a Division I level and get a scholarship that way. So I sat at my counselor's office and I talked to her about colleges that I could go to academically. But because my grades were so low, she recommended that pretty much my only option was to go to a junior college. And I wanted to go to this really expensive college. That was my dream school. It was Boston University. It was $50,000 a year when I went. And not only did I not have the grades to get in, but conventionally, but I didn't have the money to spend $200,000 on a degree. But I ended up applying anyway. I just, I had nothing to lose, and I got $165,000 to go to Boston University, and I graduated, and I went to school for accounting, and then I got out of school and I started working for a financial planning company that only had me talk to parents of college-bound high school kids about scholarships, grants, and paying for college. And I've been doing this. This is going to be my 8th year helping parents to get money for college, and I love it. I mean, it's every single year I get emails and letters of students that have followed my work that get to go to colleges that they never thought they could afford.
That is amazing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because many times we don't believe, like you say, that we have the way, or we have the possibility, or the probability to actually go to a college that is like you say, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 a year, which is a lot of money.
It's a lot
to
of
begin
money
with,
anybody,
right? For anybody, exactly.
Right.
So imagine if you come to see Trevor Ramos, right? To actually be able to find the resources, the monetary resources to send your kid to college. That's just an amazing thing. And thank you for doing this, Trevor, because honestly, many times we feel lost.
Right.
We feel lost because we don't know how the system operates. Right. So when you don't know these things, you tend to make mistakes.
Right. I felt very insecure, and even right now, there might be a couple of parents and students watching that maybe their kid has applied to a bunch of colleges, but they haven't heard back from anyone yet. And I know how that feels. You're just sitting there waiting in the mail, checking the mail every day to see if any college has accepted you. And when that first college accepts you, it's like, it is a boost of confidence. So that's how I felt. I was just, am I even going to be able to get in? Like, am I smart enough to go to college? All those things are going through my head, and I'm here to tell you that you can figure out how to not only get into a really good school if you're in high school, if you're in community college, or you want to go back to school, but you can get the money, which is also really important to talk about.
Right. We're actually going to be, of course, tapping into that way, of your way of finding these monies, because there's a lot of money, like you say, and we just don't know about that. Many kids, they are very savvy, and they start looking for this money. Mm-hmm. But many times, they just wait for their parents to actually come up with the money.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's okay if you have it.
Right.
If you have it, and it's no problem for you to cough up $60,000 a year for a college for your kid or for your kids, because if you have multiple children, then it becomes a big investment.
Yeah. If you have twins, you're really looking at spending 6 times 2, that's $120,000 a year. And even, I work with clients. I run a practice where I help parents and their students to get money to go to school. And I have my book, How to Get Free Money for College, and I do a lot of webinars and shows like we're doing. And even the people that do have the money, they don't necessarily want to spend that all on tuition when their kid is also going to go to law school, graduate school, medical school. And it's also a great way to teach your kid how to take responsibility for their futures by figuring out how they can get a college to pay for them to attend, how to make sure that they not only have the grades and test scores and everything else to get in, but to also get the scholarship. Right?
So in talking about figuring out, how do people figure out how to get in touch with you? How do people get in touch with Trevor Ramos to get all this info that we may need when we decide or when our kids decide they want to go to college?
Yeah, so you can reach me at 626-657-7887. That's the phone number, 626-657-7887. You can also add me on Facebook. I'm not at my cap yet for friends, so I'm happy to have you add me. You can message me on Facebook. If you want to get a copy of my book, you can go to Amazon.com and just search How to Get Free Money for College, or you can go to collegeplanningbook.com to get my book. And if you want more information on my company and how we personally help students and parents navigate through the college and financial aid process, you go to collegefundingremedies.com. So if you want to get my book, you go to collegeplanningbook.com. If you want to work with me directly, you go to collegefundingremedies, REMEDIES.com.
Collegefundingremedies.com. I am sharing the website. The other one is College Planning.
Collegeplanningbook.com.
Okay, but we're going to share all this information so that our people have all this information available, because it is crucial. It is vital, friends, to have this information. This is the only way, actually, for many parents to be able to send their kids to college. Would you agree on that, Trevor?
Yeah, before I got here, I was at a financial advisor's office and just talking about saving for college. And, what they're saying is the average parent with a 14 to 17-year-old, they have $45,000 saved for college, but college now costs $100,000 to $300,000. So obviously there's a shortfall. And when you know this information, you can get the rest of the money through scholarships and grants. And that's the cool thing. So,
Please repeat the website to get the book.
Collegeplanningbook.com. That's where you get my book, How to Get Free Money for College, collegeplanningbook.com.
Planningbook.com. And if anybody, please feel free to share something, to ask something to Trevor. If you have any questions, like for example, if you have a question about a university or a college, that your kid might be interested in going, you can ask him whatever you feel like you might need some information about. So, because that's what he is here for. He is to provide all this information. And of course, if you actually need the help, right, to actually go through all this process of getting your kid into college, he is here also to help you, because not only does he know about all these grants and all this how the system works, but also all the updates that are usually coming out all the time, Trevor, because we have seen all these changes all the time.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of changes. The financial aid process changed a little bit last year. All the deadlines changed and things like that. And big thing, a lot of parents don't necessarily know this, but we're always taught that if you want to go get into a good college, that you're supposed to take the SAT, supposed to take the ACT, and a lot of parents might spend a lot of money and time trying to get their kids' SAT score up. And I have seen people spend $5,000-$6,000 on SAT prep, and I love SAT prep, and it is very necessary and vital. But there are schools that actually don't even look at your test scores, and these are some of the top colleges in the country that have just decided that they don't want to look at SAT or ACT, or it's not necessary for you to submit your SAT score. So that's something that, if you didn't know, you could end up, going a different direction than you even really needed to, and putting your kid through a lot more stress of trying to get a high SAT score when it's not necessary in their particular case. In general, there are a lot of schools that do want to look at your SAT, but that's just an example.
Right. So what's new for this 2018? I mean, what is there anything that we should know about in regards to how to get free money for college? As far as when you want to start looking for the school, because it would be which I also want to ask you this. When would it be the best time to start looking for a college? Because you're not going to wait till you're a senior in high school.
Right.
That's probably too late,
right.
or that's going to get you maybe to make some mistakes, or to maybe not to go to the college that you actually want to go.
Right.
So what's new, and what would you recommend in regards to when should we start looking for college for our kids?
Yeah, what's new? I'm so entrenched in all this stuff that I got to think about that. But actually, the cool thing is what hasn't changed. The last time I talked to the UCs, so the UCs did change their the question that you have to ask, you have to answer in order to get accepted. But they didn't change it last year, and I'm very, very certain that they're not going to change it this year. So what that means is you can look at the questions that the UCs ask and play with an application, and you can actually start to complete the application now, and you can start to write your personal statements. If your kid wants to go to UCLA or UC Irvine or UC Berkeley, you can write them now rather than waiting until August or November to have them write that stuff, because it didn't change much at all. And the other question was, what was the other question?
The other question was, what would you recommend as far as dates?
When would you want to get started? That's a really good point. A lot of people think that the best time to start getting scholarships and grants is when your kid is in the 12th grade, and that's correct, except that's when it's time to apply. You have to spend time setting that student up so that when it's time to apply, they're saying the things that they need to say. So when do you start thinking about how your kids, what your kid should be doing to get a scholarship? I recommend that you think about what your kids should be doing in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, so that when they are in the 12th grade, they're just turning in what they've been working on since they've been in high school, versus trying to figure it out pretty much at the last second.
Yeah. And the reason for that is?
The reason for that, so like I talked about changes in financial aid, right now, as parents of college, community college students and high school students, anyone that's applying to college, the college is looking at what you made in 2016. They're not looking at what you made last year, 2017. So it's already been decided a year ago whether you're going to be eligible for Cal Grant, whether you're going to be eligible for Pell Grant. That's been decided a long time ago. And even down to, how you file your taxes, say in divorce situations where the child has joint custody, it might be under one parent that they're eligible for Cal Grant and under another parent that they're not. And if you filed your taxes for 2016 already, it's already been decided whether, you're going to qualify for those grants and things like that. So those are examples when, the colleges are looking 2 years back on the family's finances, and the colleges are looking 2-3 years back on what that child has done in high school, so that they can decide that, this is the kid we're going to give a scholarship to. And what I like to do is I like to work on a kid for several years if I can, 2-3 years, so that by the time they're a senior, I know that they're at least getting into UC Santa Barbara, or they're at least getting into USC with a $130,000 scholarship. So that's what we kind of work backwards to create that.
Let me ask you something, Trevor. Thank you for the information. I'm going to say hello to the people who are watching the broadcast. But let me ask you something. If somebody from Texas, because we are in California,
right?
This is California time, for supuesto, and everywhere, of course, just taking consideration the difference in time.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody is in Texas or Chicago or Florida or any of the United States of America, can you help them? Can they talk to you? Can they hire you?
Yeah, you can. And I'll just tell you, like, the only time where it honestly doesn't make too much sense for me to get involved is if, say, you live in Mississippi and your kid just wants to go to Mississippi State or Ole Miss, you know, if they're going to their local state college, it may not be necessary for you to understand all the sophisticated information. However, if your kid is in Mississippi and wants to go to Princeton or wants to go to Stanford or wants to go to UCLA, you know, if they're in Mississippi and then they want to go to UCLA is charging out-of-state tuition in that situation. So it can get pretty complicated. But if they say you live in Arizona and you just want your kid to go to University of Arizona or Arizona State, I would say that it's not really necessary to know all this stuff. But if they want to go to an out-of-state college, especially if they want to go to a private university, this information is very important because those colleges are really expensive and you have to try to figure out how you can maximize your scholarships and grants.
Yeah. Well, I want to say hello to Angelica Lopez. She says Happy New Year for you and your team. Beatriz Arco, also Happy New Year and blessings to you all.
Thank you.
Lulis Storm, Happy New Year. Alma Rodriguez. Lulis dice, I hope you have a fabulous year and continue to make all your dreams come true for all and hugs for all. Azucena Gomez is also watching. Lucia, Elizabeth, BJ Leos, Gabriela Lopez, Salvador Ramos, Jorge Hernandez, Natalia Reilianu, Rosa Moran, Betty Barba, all of you, thank you for tuning in. I know that this could be very, very important information because a lot of the people who watch, I should say, the broadcasts, these programs that we have for you guys, they have kids. They have kids that either they're starting high school or they're about to start high school, and it's kind of like never too early.
No.
Right?
No. You know, really, I say this all the time. The kids that end up getting into, you know, Stanford and some of these places, the kids have wanted to go since they were in the 8th, 7th grade, you know. So it's cool when you can start teaching your child and developing them into, you know, this person that can, you know, can be a doctor, can be a dentist someday. So it's never too early. And it's also not just your kids, but it might be your grandkids, it might be your niece, your nephew, your cousins that are in high school right now, that, you know, want to go to really good school or doing, you know, are working hard in school, or maybe, you know, need a little bit of a push to start taking high school seriously like I did.
When did you start actually taking high school seriously?
You know, for me, it was that wake-up call. When I sat in my counselor's office and she told me I really couldn't go to a 4-year college, I said, to me, I just heard that I wasn't smart enough to go to a 4-year college. And really, it was my GPA, it was my test scores. So that I really needed to show and prove that I was ready. So that happened in the second semester of my junior year, which I would not recommend waiting until the second semester of junior year to start thinking about what you're going to do in terms of going to college. But there was a lot of all-nighters in that life. You know, I definitely had to miss a couple of, you know, days of school to catch up and get everything together. My parents would drop me off at the bookstore and the library. I would take books off the shelf and study until I got good enough grades to prove that I was ready. I don't really want anyone to have to go through that. Some people have to do that because that's the only way that they get focused. But you can do this slowly when you have a kid in ninth grade or in the 10th grade, or maybe someone that's starting their first year at Pasadena City College or Glendale College. You can do it slowly so that by the time it's time to apply, they get everything done.
That's another thing that I wanted to ask you, Trevor. I'm going to share your information so that people can get all this information if they wish to do this. But when you start planning to go to college and you say, you know what, I don't think I can afford to go to USC or UCLA or Stanford or one of those private universities like you were mentioning. And they say, well, I'm going to go to a junior college, right? Let's say, for example, Pasadena City College. what happens when they want to transfer? Because at some point, if they continue going to school, they might say, you know what, now I want to transfer to one of those 4-year colleges, right? So you can still help them.
Yeah, you can still do that.
Hold on, let me share your information, and then you can answer to all the people this question. Which also, friends, I would like to ask you if you can share, if you would like to share this information, and the way to do it is obviously, sharing the show, sharing the broadcast to your friends who might have a child or several children that are in the age of thinking about going to college. This is because this is very important. If you can make, like, he went to a college that cost about $60,000 a year, and he got away basically with paying $5,000 a year. It's a huge difference. I mean, it's like 11 times. What you pay, what you could have, or should have. Paid.
and I've helped hundreds of people do the same thing.
Yeah. So the phone number to call Trevor Ramos to get more information, and if you want to hire his services, is 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887. Now, you can also, if you want to buy this book right here, which is called How to Get Free Money for College, you can go to this next website, which is collegeplanningbook.com. www.collegeplanningbook.com. You can also, for information and also to get in touch with Mr. Ramos, you can go to www.collegefundingremedies.com. collegefundingremedies.com. Those are the websites, and obviously the number where you can reach Mr. Ramos so that he can give you all this information that you may need to make an educated decision, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the question was?
So, what was the question? we always do this.
I was saying that if you go to a junior college for the first couple of years of college, and then you say, okay. Can I still get help? Can I still get take advantage of these programs?
Yeah, I don't really talk enough about that, but absolutely. So if you want to transfer from a community college to a UC or a Cal State, you have to have 60 units, which is 4 times 16 classes that are through the A through G requirements. Or the UC requirements. If you want to apply to a private school, however, you can go to a community college for just 1 year. In fact, you don't even have to finish that year. Say if you started community college in September, you can already turn in an application to USC, to Chapman, to Pepperdine, so that you can start in the fall. So you can use this information to not only get accepted, but to get a lot of money from those schools as well.
Well, that's obviously that's a good thing, because that is not a guarantee, but at least it's a great tool to have for us parents and for the students, obviously, to have, so that they can actually think about going to college. Because many people set their dreams on going to college, and many people just don't do it, which is a real,
Well, a lot of people are not finishing. We got about 50% of the people that are not finishing. And why are they not finishing? Maybe it's not a cultural fit. Maybe you went to, I know someone that got into Stanford, but it just wasn't the right fit for them, and they didn't finish. I also know people that go to one of the Cal States and they can't get their classes on time, and they're having to work. So then they're not able to finish for that reason. And I know a lot of people that they get in and their parents have, they've been there for 2 years and the parents have already borrowed $120,000, and they just say, we're already $120,000 in the hole. Like, you need to, we can't help you. We can't keep borrowing for you anymore. So one of the main reasons why people don't finish college is because they run out of money. It's true, but if you do it the right way, you're going to get the money on the upfront, so you're going to know exactly what it's going to cost to go all the way through and get most of it paid for from the college.
Now, if you could repeat the information about, because I think it's very important. Many kids wait until the end to actually push hard to get good grades.
Right.
For some reason or for many reasons.
Right.
But it does happen. It happens all the time. So if you can please repeat that information about. Of course, it is good, but it's not essential to have good grades.
Oh yeah.
What are the colleges looking for? What they look for in a student?
They look for a lot more than grades. So, first of all, they're looking at not first your grades, but what courses you're taking. So if you're taking academic courses, honors courses, AP courses, IB courses, community college courses, they're seeing if you're challenging yourself academically. And then they look at your grades. So what does that mean? It means that if someone's taking challenging courses and they have straight B's, and someone's taking less challenging courses and they have straight A's, they would prefer the person with the straight B's as taking the more challenging courses. After that, then you have some colleges, many colleges that look at test scores. They look at SAT or ACT. They look at each of them equally. It doesn't matter which one you take. And then they look at your leadership. Another way to say it is your extracurricular activities. So they want to see, I love to work with students that don't necessarily have the best grades, don't necessarily have the best SAT scores, but they've spent time, raising their older brothers and their older sisters, or they've volunteered their time to help at the homeless shelter or with the Girl Scouts or with their, with their soccer team, so it gives us colleges a context of where this person is spending their time and whether they have what it takes to be a leader, because there are many people that know how to do well on tests and know how to get good grades in the classroom, but they haven't fostered leadership skills that are going to be necessary when they graduate and they go out to the workforce. So colleges look at that as well.
There you go. I think that's some very important information. Why? Because that way we see it in our kids, the way they act and the way they go to school and when they take the tests and like you say, the leadership skills when they have them, which is like you say, really good for a college because they look at that.
Right.
They look at that.
Well, actually, and there's one more thing too that they also want to know how much research you've done. Like maybe someone who's still turning in applications to colleges. Maybe they're applying to college right now. And, I have a few students that are applying to colleges that are due today. Some that their application is due on the 15th. So if you know anyone like that, tag them or tag their parents or tag their grandparents, because this is really important information that they can use right now. In most cases, a college wants to know that you've done the research in terms of why you would want to go to that school, that you are very familiar with the curriculum and what some of the professors teach and what they specialize in and some of the clubs and activities that you would get involved in. A lot of students will just apply to a school because of the name, but it's clear that they have not really looked into why someone would choose to go to Pepperdine versus going to UCLA, or why they would choose to go to Occidental as opposed to going to UC Riverside. So that kind of research makes a huge difference in whether or not your child's going to get in and get a scholarship.
In a way, we've talked about this, Trevor, but in a way, it's like you are also teaching them how to become adults.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be, as a student, you are going to be facing some decisions. There needs to be some decision making on your part once you start your life in college, and make no mistake about that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
right?
and that can sound very scary. It's like I'm going to be an adult next month, or I'm going to be an adult in 3 months. We all have to go through that, But just learning how to respect a deadline, learning how to tell people when you're not going to make a deadline. Learning to ask for help, you owning it and saying, I'm going to make sure I turn in this application on Friday, versus your parents having to remind you over and over and over to do it. Like that's part of learning how to be an adult, so it's a way for you to, not only, get into college and get a good career, but to figure out what we all have to learn how to do, which is to meet deadlines and to, meet expectations and things like that.
Right. I want to say hello to Rosa Miranda, Linda Hernandez, Pepe Correa, Lu Torres. Gracias. Thank you very much for being there. I'm also going to share the phone number where you can reach Trevor Ramos if you, or like Trevor says, if you know somebody, who could be like in the verge of going to college, soon in the next couple of years, because that's a good time frame to begin with your research and with your your applications to go to college. Right. The number where you can reach Mr. Ramos is 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887. If you want to buy the book right here, how to make free money, or how to get actually free money for college, then you can go to www.collegeplanningbook.com, www.planningbook.com, and you can get it. You can get it there. Also, if you need more information, right? If you don't want to talk, not yet, at least with Trevor, then you can also go to another website where you can find a lot of information about this. And then once you do your research, then you call him. You call him with certain questions that you actually have come up with once you do your research. The website where you can reach him also via email, it's www.collegefundingremedies.com. collegefundingremedies.com. Would you like to share your email so that people can also send you an email?
Yeah, you can email me directly at Trevor, Trevor, at collegefundingremedies.com. So that's Trevor at collegefundingremedies.com. And I'll respond to you usually within about 48 hours.
Great. So, now talking about the colleges, talking about the universities where they can go, people have like a preference. Have you noticed like people have certain preference for certain colleges?
Yeah. Well, I really, I'm familiar with two different types of colleges, and those are the best colleges in the country for a specific major, and it's the colleges that are within, driving distance of Los Angeles, because most of my clients come from Los Angeles. They do come from all over. Some clients I have in other countries, but I know all the colleges in the state of California very well, and all the colleges in Arizona and Colorado and Nevada, because you can drive there. So I have some, maybe some of them I have daughters and they don't want them to be too far. So we don't want our daughters to be all the way across in New York, but we'd like to have them within driving distance. Or I might have kids that say, I want to go to the best school in the country for theater, or I want to go to the best school in the country for creative writing, in which case, I'm sending them to, colleges in all the kinds of other states. So, yeah, that can be a preference. It can also be, it can be your major. It can be where you want to live. It can be, culturally, we talk about culture shock. You don't necessarily want to send a kid from, say, Pasadena to Utah, or to Montana, or to Kansas, because it's a really different speed and way of living that you have to be accustomed to. So there's a lot of different reasons why you would we're talking right now. We're talking about finding the right fit college for your child. So you want to find a college that is the right fit for them academically, socially, and that fits a financial match too, so that you're not having to borrow a lot of money to go to that college that your kid, has been dreaming of. That you can also make sure that you get a scholarship.
Yeah, that's actually very important because yes, of course, once you start doing your research on which college you're going to go to, or you wish to go to, it is very important to look at the money, and that's why we are talking here with Trevor Ramos, because Trevor, Mr. Ramos, has a lot of experience. He himself went through not having money for college to having money to go to the university of his choosing. It's not only, this is what I can afford, so that's where I'm going. Not necessarily. You can do your research and then come and get in touch with Mr. Ramos. He will help you get the money for your kid to go to college.
And that's a really good point. I'm sorry. No, and that's a really good point, because if you do it that way, say, I deal with this all the time where parents will say, well, the only schools we can afford are the Cal States, because the Cal States are, $22,000, $24,000 a year. We can't afford, USC, which is $75,000 a year, but actually USC might have more scholarships and grants to offer you to where it costs the same or less than the Cal State. It's extremely common. In fact, that's what happened to me. I got into Boston University, and it would have actually cost me more money to go to a community college when you conclude the car insurance, the car note, the gasoline to get back and forth to school. This $50,000 a year college was able to give me enough scholarships and grants to discount the price down so that it was pretty much comparable. So you don't want to just necessarily go, you look at the sticker price and say, okay, well, we definitely can't afford $75,000. We're not going to send them because that school might have a lot of money to offer.
That's important to point out, because many people say, oh, no way, USC, no good, it's a lot of money.
Right.
Stanford, oh no, it's a lot of money. Right. Princeton,
Right.
All these colleges that in paper they look and they are very expensive. But once you go through, here's where it's very important to have somebody like Mr. Ramos help you with this, because he knows the ins and outs about these colleges, about how you can get the most out of each college, right?
Right.
When you go through that and you say, okay, well, I don't think I can afford to send my kid to NYU, for example, right? Or one of the colleges in Texas that are very expensive,
right.
Or one of the colleges that are like the more I guess the most prestigious, like Harvard,
Stanford,
like Princeton,
Yale,
like
Princeton,
Stanford, like Yale.
Yeah.
Or USC, which is one of the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like it's very difficult, but like he says, you are paying. How much is it's a year at a UC or at a California State University?
Cal State. Okay, so the tuition alone comes out to $8,000 a year, and then it comes another 12 with fees, room and board, and living expenses at a Cal State, which brings it to $22,000 to $24,000 a year for in-state tuition.
Wow! And
then at the UCs, the tuition is $15,000 per year, and then the room and board, meals, fees, that comes out to another 20, which brings it to $35,000. So Cal State's with everything included is $23,000 a year, and the UCs are $33,000 a year with everything included, room and board.
So now if you say, okay, well, now let's compare with USC, which is $75,000 a year.
Yeah.
You go, that's a lot of money. That's much more. That's twice as much or even more than a UC, for example, UCLA. But what about the programs that this college has that this other one does not have, correct?
Yeah. I have a student going to USC for $8,000 a year. That's what it costs her. The rest of the money is given to her in grants and scholarships.
If you guys have any questions for Trevor Ramos, we are talking to Trevor Ramos. He is the author of this book right here. how to get free money for college. This is the book that if you want to get, you're gonna get a lot of information out of it. And of course, if you decide that you want to use Mr. Ramos' services, then of course you can do that. You can do that because having a professional help you with something that is so important for you and for your kid, for your child, which is to go to college, then of course that is a great possibility that Mr. Ramos can help you with. So I'm gonna give you the phone number where you can contact him, or you can reach him for any information that you may need. It's 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887. If you want to buy the book, right, like he was saying earlier, you can go to Amazon. That if you have an account with Amazon, right, and you can just find how to get free money for college, that will take you to buy the book. And if you want to use the website where you can get the book, here is collegeplanningbook.com. www.collegeplanningbook.com. You can get the book there. And if you want more information, you need more information about the services that Mr. Trevor Ramos provide, then you can go to www.collegefundingremedies.com. collegefundingremedies.com, and the number again is 626-657-7887. Give a call. You know, there's no commitment, right? I mean, it's a free call. Is it a free call?
Yeah.
If people
you can talk as
want
long as you want.
talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then you go. There's not like a consultation fee. You know, he won't charge you any money for you to ask any questions that you may have, or your kid, right? Your son, your daughter may have in regards to applying, or in regards to getting funds, to getting money for college. And the important thing here is when you throw in the word free, that becomes a whole new thing, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, if you understand what's inside this book, you are going to be armed with what 95% of parents don't know. I'm going to say 97% of parents, because most parents don't actually. If I go to a room and I ask people, does anyone know how much UCLA costs? Most people don't know what UCLA costs. If I say, does anyone know how much Stanford costs? Most people don't know that. You know, and I might ask them, what are the most common ways that people pay for college? They might say, oh, well, you know, we use college savings, we take loans, we, you know, just make the payments. You know, some of them say rob a bank, or, you know, but
that's not recommended.
Yeah, don't rob a bank. There's a movie about that, though, I saw, where they actually created an underground casino to raise money to pay for college. But this book has everything that you need to know if you're going to be sending a child to college within the next 6 years. And even if you have kids already in college, and you might want to know how much money you can get the next year. So that's what I recommend. And a lot of people think that they make too much money for financial aid and scholarships and all that. And I have clients that do $400,000 or $500,000 a year that get grants. I have a student that made a family that made $549,000 last year, and they got a grant of $45,000 a year to go to Santa Clara. So it's not always income is a factor, don't get me wrong, but it's one of many factors. Like when you apply for grants and all that stuff, they're asking you a lot of questions, and it computes how much you are expected to pay for school. And a lot of people have no idea what they're expected to pay for school. They might run the numbers and think that they don't qualify, and then they actually qualify for a lot of money. So that's what I specialize in, and you know how I'm able to just look line by line and see how much scholarships and grants you could qualify for, and what colleges they would get accepted to, and what colleges are going to be a good fit for them.
Right. I want to say hello to Blanca Flores, Christine Vasquez, Elizabeth Calvo, Jesus Mendoza, Valente Bastidas. All of you, thank you for joining the broadcast. And if you have any questions, please feel free to express them right here on the comments on the broadcast, or calling Trevor Ramos at 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887. Also, I would like to ask you if you want like Trevor Ramos to talk about any subject, obviously in regards to how to get free money for college.
Yeah, don't ask me about cooking. I'm really bad at cooking.
Well, you don't cook?
No, I'm horrible.
No, really?
I got like a few skills that I'm good at, actually.
I think one of our resolutions, if you have kids and your kids are 14, 15, 16, right? One of the resolutions should be, how am I gonna get the money for college? Right. Which college does she want to go? Which college does he want to go? Right? Because that's I think that's something very important for every parent.
Wouldn't it be cool if instead of saying, okay, well, obviously what we're gonna have to do is go to a community college for 2-3 years and then transfer to Cal State, to instead of that, for your kid to be able to go to one of the most expensive colleges in the country and get it all paid for. And that's what we're talking about. There's so many people I talk to where they think that that's a possibility, that all we're gonna have to do is go to community college and transfer to Cal State or UC, and then I look at it and I'm able to get them into one of the most expensive colleges and get most of it paid for.
That is obviously. How do you feel when you do that? When somebody comes to you and asks you or tells you that they cannot afford to send their kids to college, how does it feel when you finally say, okay, you're in, this is what you're gonna get, and your parents or you are going to come up with just this much? How do you feel by helping all these people, Trevor?
Honestly, and I'm always honest when I talk, but I try not to take credit for any of it. I really just feel like it's like I see someone walking down the street and they look lost, and I say, if you went over that way, you would actually get to your destination. So when I point someone in the right direction and they end up getting a huge scholarship, like I have students that told me what college, like I have a student that her dream school was to get into Chapman, and she got in, and I know she already got $22,000 a year. She's already getting a Cal grant, so that already comes out to $34,000 a year, and then by the time she's done, she'll get about $50,000 a year. And
how much does it cost to go to Chapman?
Chapman's about $65,000.
Oh my God!
So it's at $15,000 a year. That's going to cost less than what it costs to go to state school. You're going to an extremely expensive private school. So she's getting all this money, and she's the one that worked hard. She's the one that had the good grades. She's the one that did all this stuff. I looked at what they were saying to these colleges and how to make sure that they got the most money. But really, what I just did is I pointed them in the right direction. So I don't really take much credit for it. Some people want to know that I was the reason for it, and some people would say, if you ask her, she might say I wasn't able to do it without you. But I really, I'm grateful to see kids that make the right decisions, and if there's an opportunity for me to help them, then that's what I do.
But I think it's not that you take all the credit, but you should recognize that you are doing a great thing here. Why? Because you are like almost in a way holding their hands through this whole process and being that guidance. Right. That being redundant, guiding them in the right direction.
Yeah, it's so big when you see someone get $200,000 to go to college, and to me, I think that there's only a few times in your life where you're gonna have to sell yourself so much. You're gonna have to sell yourself a lot when you get your first job. You're gonna have to sell yourself when you want to get into a college, and for a teen, like that's new. So when you think about, I just was able to help this person get into school and then avoid taking out $200,000 in student loans. So now all the money that they make is not going back to the student loan company. They get to keep that money. They get to save it. One time I got a family so much money that they didn't even use all the money that they had saved to pay for school. So I told them to save that money for when the grandkids you know, when this child's children are born and they're ready to go to school. So it's such a huge thing you can do in someone's life at a very memorable moment. So a lot of my clients and the people I work with remember me forever because, you know, I was there at a point, you know, in their life that was pivotal. And yeah, because it's so big that, you know, it's really important to maintain humility when you see what you're doing, because I love it. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, but like I said, it's good, of course, to be humble, you know, but it's also good because I guess in a way, and obviously I could talk to you about it from my perspective. You're doing a great thing.
Thank you.
You're doing a great thing, and thank God, because I mean, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money that we don't know about.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of money that we don't know about that you can get when you go to college. So if you can do that, if you can actually take advantage, right, of getting some of that money, why not? Right?
Yeah, and
why
if we
not?
have time, it's like the other flip side, let's talk about the other side. So how do most people pay for college? Well, they take student loans, right? And right now, if a
which
parent,
oh my God, that's a huge.
so I'm preventing so
setback.
many people from taking out student loans, you know? If a parent, because parents take out a lot of these loans, they take out loans that, and the interest rate is 6-7% on something that costs $100,000 to $300,000. So we're not talking about a little bit of money. We're talking about, if you take out $100,000 at 6-7% or $300,000 at 6-7%, your payment is going to be the size of a mortgage payment, right? Because it's due in 10 years. So, and then if the kid takes out the loan, which is even worse, because the kid has no income, so the student loan companies charge that kid 11 to 15% on the same $100,000, $300,000. These are really high interest rates, and you can't bankrupt out of this, you know, loan like you could, say, a mortgage. So if I can save someone from going through all that, and they get an opportunity to go to the school that they wanted to go to, and they don't want to graduate owing all this money, is a huge difference that you're able to make in that person's wealth and in their life, you know, because they can save that money.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it it just makes you realize that, you know, if you have the chance to take advantage of that, it's something that is great. Why? Because of many reasons, right? It could be many things that you can do with the money that you will be saving. You know,
Right.
Maybe I don't know if you already have a property, maybe buy another property.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because just imagine, like you say, if you save $35,000, you know, how much does it have to be? I mean, let's divide that by 12. You know, that's like, I don't know, 3,000 almost 3,000. If you divide 35,000 by 12, that's almost $3,000. That's a good mortgage.
Yeah,
That's a good mortgage.
it's a huge payment that you have to make, and most people don't realize it until the payment's due when the kid graduates. Because a lot of people, they say, okay, my kid got into UCLA, but we don't have the money, so we're going to borrow the money, and then we're going to tell the student loan company that we're going to pay them back after the kid graduates. So then the kid graduates, and then there's a payment that's due, say, of, you know, $1,700 a month, and that's going to be due for 10 years, you know. So that's a huge payment that you don't even realize what you just signed up for, and you think that it's a good thing because it's like, well, at least we're borrowing the money to go to college, and we're supposed to go to college, and this is something I'm supposed to do. So if I borrow this money, at least it's something positive I'm borrowing it for. I'm not borrowing it to, you know, buy furniture and things like that. But that's the way that the student loan companies get you, is because they know that this is something you're not going to think about. It's because it's such an emotional area of your kid going to college that most people borrow the money without thinking about how they're going to pay it back.
Yeah, you can face a very difficult scenario.
Right.
So I wanna greet Abraham de la Peña. He says it's a great message and information. Please for all the young people, but also for the parents, right?
Yeah.
Say hello to Trevor. He says greetings to D. Iglesias, Raquel de la Vega, Gloria Meda, Guillermo Tellini. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure, honestly, to bring all this information to our people.
Thank you.
Because again, I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. It's a great tool. It's a great tool to be able to have this information that you can use to benefit from something. Right. In this case, to benefit from grants, from loans, and from many things, right?
Right. It's a little bit of information that a lot of people don't know. They can make the difference of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, the more you know, I think Warren Buffett says the more you learn, the more you earn. But, if you know something that someone else doesn't know, then you're always able to gain advantage.
And plus, on top of that, if you benefit from it, you can also share it.
Pass it on.
Share it, pass it on to your family members, to your friends. After all, this is what this is all about. Taking care of your family. Correct?
Right. Yeah. So this is something that can it can change the course of someone's life, definitely. So you don't want to keep it a secret. I don't keep it a secret. I put it in a book, for you to read. I do these shows, so and that's why you can ask me questions, anything you want to know with the time that we have. This is something I do all day, so I'm always answering questions for people.
Right. We are about to end this show, which I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody who was able to watch it. But I also want to ask you to also send your comments, to send questions, to send suggestions of something that you want to hear about from Mr. Ramos, who is right here with us. Now that we are beginning this 2018, many things are changing, and many things will change throughout the course of the year. Now, if you have a question, if you have a child that is almost ready to go to college, I think it would be very, very helpful, to get information about how to go about that, how to go about the process of applying for the college with Mr. Ramos, with Trevor Ramos. That's why I'm going to share his information before I let him give you one last message for this broadcast. The phone number where you can call him is 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887. You want to buy this book right here, How to Get Free Money for College? Then go to www.collegeplanningbook.com. collegeplanningbook.com. There you can get the book. And also, if you have more questions, or if you want more information, or if you're doing your homework, to get more information, so that then you can get back to Mr. Ramos for more information, then it's www.collegefundingremedies.com. collegefundingremedies.com, where you can find a lot of information, and obviously maybe that will make you take action and call Mr. Ramos here. Please, Trevor, if you want to send a message to all the people who actually are watching the program, that will be excellent, because I know something is going to stick to them, something is going to be of a benefit for them.
I just want you to know that if you read this book and you follow my advice, you'll get most of the money, if not all the money, that it's going to cost to send your child or your grandchild to college, and you'll pay a very low out-of-pocket. You won't have to take out a second mortgage, and you'll minimize student loans that most people have to take out to pay for school. And this book is going to show you what happens when you're sending a kid to college, what's at stake, where the money is, and how you can get it. Every year your kid goes to school, and I update this book every year so you can learn from me and get your kid into one of the top colleges in the country for pennies on the dollar.
Well, it has been a pleasure, as always, to get all this information from Mr. Ramos, and I hope that this was of benefit for you, for your kid, for your son, for your daughter. Now that he or she are approaching the age where they start thinking about going to college. So it's been a pleasure, and we'll be here with you every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, time of California here in the United States. So we are actually, extending this invitation so that you can watch us. You can watch and get all this information from somebody who knows, from somebody who's done it, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps helping all these people, which is Mr. Trevor Ramos. You want to give him a call? Please go ahead. 626-657-7887. 626-657-7887.